My wife just told me that friends are forever, but husbands come and go. Let me explain how we got to this point, because those words changed everything between us. It was a Friday evening, and I had just finished making dinner reservations at this Italian place we both love. I was excited because we hadn't had a proper date night in about 3 weeks. Every weekend seemed to be consumed by her plans with her girlfriends from college, her book club friends, or her coworkers. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against her having friends. But when your wife consistently chooses everyone else over you, it starts to wear on a guy. I walked into the living room where she was scrolling through her phone. Hey, I made us reservations for tomorrow night at Giovanni's. 7:30. She didn't even look up from her screen. Oh, I can't. The girls and I are doing a wine tasting tour in Napa tomorrow. Remember? I told you about it. Actually, she hadn't told me. This was news to me, just like most of her weekend plans. That's the third Saturday in a row you've had plans without me. Finally, she glanced up with that expression she gets when she thinks I'm being unreasonable. What's your point? My point is that we're married. Shouldn't we spend some time together? Just the two of us. She set her phone down and looked at me like I'd just suggested we move to Mars. You're being dramatic. We spend time together all the time. When? When we're both too tired to talk after work. When we're watching Netflix and you're on your phone the entire time. Her face hardened. Look, I'm not going to apologize for having friends. These relationships are important to me. Friends are forever. Husbands come and go. The words hit me like a slap. I stood there for a moment, processing what she'd just said. 8 years of marriage. And this is how she viewed our relationship? Temporary? Disposable? I could have gotten angry. I could have yelled. Instead, I nodded slowly. You're absolutely right. Friendship is valuable. She seemed surprised by my calm response. Maybe she expected a fight. Good. I'm glad you understand. I do understand. Completely. The next morning, I got a text from my buddy from work inviting me to watch the game at a sports bar. Normally, I would have declined because I thought she might want to do something together when she got back from Napa. But her words kept echoing in my head. Friends are forever. Husbands come and go. I texted back, count me in. When she returned from her wine tour that evening, slightly tipsy and in a good mood, she found me getting ready to leave. Where are you going? Out with friends. You know, building those forever relationships you mentioned. She looked confused. What friends? The ones I've been neglecting because I thought spending time with my wife was more important. Silly me, right? I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. Don't wait up. Friends are forever, remember. The next week, I started saying yes to everything. When my college roommate invited me to a brewery opening, I went. When my neighbor asked if I wanted to join his hiking group, I signed up. When my coworkers suggested happy hour, I was there. For the first time in years, I wasn't sitting at home on Friday nights wondering when my wife would be back from her latest social adventure. I was creating my own. She seemed pleased at first. I'm so glad you're finally getting out more, she said one evening as I headed out to play poker with some guys from the gym. This is much better than you moping around the house. Moping around the house. That's how she saw me wanting to spend time with her. 2 weeks into my new social calendar, she made an offhand comment that caught my attention. We should do something together this weekend. I checked my phone. Can't. I'm going camping with the hiking group Saturday, and Sunday I promised my buddy I'd help him work on his truck. Oh, she looked genuinely surprised. Well, what about Friday night? Trivia night at O'Malley's. But you're welcome to come if you want. She wrinkled her nose. That dive bar. No thanks. Your choice. Friends are forever, though, so I'm going. By the 4th week, I had joined a recreational volleyball league, started attending a monthly poker game, and even signed up for a cooking class. My calendar was as packed as hers had always been. One evening, she approached me while I was checking messages from my various friend groups. You're always on your phone now. I looked up at her. Just coordinating with friends. You know how important that is. She shifted uncomfortably. I meant we could maybe watch a movie tonight. Sorry, already committed to guys' night at Dave's place. We're watching the fight. You could skip it just this once. I closed my phone and looked at her directly. Why would I skip it? These relationships are important to me. Friends are forever, right? She opened her mouth to respond, then closed it again. For the first time in weeks, she had nothing to say. As I headed out that night, I realized how much I'd been missing. I'd forgotten how good it felt to have people genuinely excited to see you. To be part of something beyond just waiting at home for your spouse to remember you exist. My wife had taught me a valuable lesson about priorities. I was finally putting that lesson into practice. Week 5 of my social renaissance brought some interesting developments. My wife seemed genuinely happy that I was finally getting a life, as she put it. What she didn't realize was that I was simply following her blueprint for prioritizing relationships. Monday morning, I got a text from my old college buddy inviting me to a weekend golf tournament. Without hesitation, I confirmed my spot. Later that evening, as my wife was getting ready for her weekly dinner with her book club friends, she mentioned wanting to visit her parents that weekend. "Oh, I can't make it," I said casually while tying my running shoes. "Golf tournament with the guys." She paused, mascara wand halfway to her eye. "Since when do you play golf tournaments?" "Since I realized how valuable male friendships are. You've been telling me for years." She finished applying her mascara with more force than necessary. "Well, I guess I'll go alone then." "Sounds good. Friends are forever, so I'm sure your parents will understand." The hiking group had become a regular Saturday morning commitment. We'd hit different trails around the area, grab breakfast afterward, and sometimes extend the day with other activities. These guys had welcomed me with open arms, and I was actually building genuine friendships for the first time in years. My wife used to complain that I was too dependent on her for social interaction. Now that problem was solved. When she left for her Saturday morning yoga class followed by brunch with her girlfriends, I was already gone on the trails. The volleyball league met Tuesday and Thursday evenings. I'd come home sweaty and energized, usually finding her on the couch with a glass of wine, scrolling through social media. She'd ask how it went, and I'd give her the same brief, polite responses she'd always given me about her activities. "How was volleyball?" "Good. We won." "That's nice." End of conversation. Just like it had always been when I asked about her book club or her girls' nights. By week 6, my transformation was complete. I had regular commitments every day of the week. Monday was poker night. Tuesday and Thursday were volleyball. Wednesday was the cooking class I'd joined. Friday was trivia night with my work buddies. Saturday was hiking. Sunday was football watching or helping friends with various projects. My wife started commenting on how busy I'd become. "You're never home anymore," she said one Wednesday as I grabbed my keys for cooking class. "Sure I am. I'm home every night, just like you always were after your social events." "That's different." "How is it different?" She couldn't answer that question. The cooking class was actually her idea, originally. She'd suggested we take it together months ago, but then her schedule got too busy with her friends. So I signed up alone and met a great group of people who shared my interest in learning new cuisines. We even started having monthly potluck dinners where everyone brought dishes we'd learned to make. One Thursday, I came home from volleyball to find her sitting in the kitchen with a cup of tea, looking somewhat lost. "How was your day?" I asked, grabbing a bottle of water from the fridge. "Fine. Just had lunch with the girls." "That's nice. Same restaurant as always." "Yeah." She seemed like she wanted to say more, but I was already heading upstairs to shower. Friday trivia nights had become legendary among my coworkers. Our team was actually pretty good, and we'd started going to different bars around town to test our skills. My wife used to tease me about knowing random facts. Now those facts were helping us win gift cards and bar tabs. The really interesting development came during week 7. My wife started asking more questions about my activities. "Who's in your hiking group?" "Just some guys who like being outdoors." "Good people. What do you talk about?" "Life, sports, work, normal stuff." "Do any of them have wives or girlfriends?" "Some do." "What?" "Just curious." But I could see something shifting in her expression. For years, she'd had this confidence that came from being the social one in our relationship. I was the homebody who waited for her to come back with stories about her adventures. Now I had my own stories, my own inside jokes, my own group chats buzzing with plans and updates. One Saturday, she decided to sleep in instead of going to yoga. When I got back from hiking, I found her still in her pajamas, looking through old photo albums. "Good hike?" she asked. "Great. We did the canyon trail, then grabbed breakfast at that new place downtown. The pancakes were incredible." "Sounds fun." It was. "What are you up to today?" "Nothing really. The girls are all busy with family stuff." For the first time in our marriage, my Saturday was packed while hers was empty. The irony wasn't lost on me, even if it seemed to escape her notice. That evening, she suggested we order takeout and watch a movie together. "Can't tonight." Monthly potluck dinner with my cooking class friends. "Oh." She looked genuinely disappointed. "Maybe tomorrow?" "Sunday is football at my buddy's place." "Big game." She nodded slowly. and I could see her processing the fact that my schedule was now as full as hers had always been. The difference was, I wasn't asking her to rearrange her life for me. I was simply living by the principles she'd taught me. Friends are forever. These relationships matter. You can't depend on your spouse for all your social needs. As I got ready for the potluck dinner, she watched me from the bedroom doorway. You seem really happy lately. I paused while adjusting my collar. I am happy. I have a great group of friends now. You were right about how important that is. She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. I kissed her cheek on my way out, just like she'd always done to me. Don't wait up. You know how these dinner parties can go. For 8 weeks, I'd been following her example perfectly. The only difference was, now I was the one with the full social calendar. Week 8 brought the first real crack in my wife's confidence. I was getting ready for trivia night when she approached me with an unusual request. Hey, would you mind skipping trivia tonight? I thought maybe we could try that new Thai restaurant. I looked up from lacing my shoes. Tonight? But the guys are counting on me for the science and history categories. Just this once. Sorry, but I made a commitment. These friendships are important to me. Her face fell slightly. We haven't had dinner out together in weeks. We haven't had dinner out together in months, actually. But that never seemed to bother you before. She stood there for a moment, clearly wanting to say more, but not quite knowing how. I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. I'll probably be back around 10. Don't wait up if you're tired. The next morning over coffee, she was quieter than usual. I was responding to messages from my hiking group about weekend plans when she finally spoke up. Are you available this Saturday? I scrolled through my calendar on my phone. Depends. What time? I have hiking until about 2, then my buddy and I are going to check out that new brewery. All day, pretty much. What? I just thought maybe we could do something together. I looked at her over my coffee cup. Like what? I don't know. Something fun. Something we both enjoy. When was the last time you made weekend plans that included me? She opened her mouth, then closed it. We both knew the answer to that question. That's different, she finally said. How? Because. She trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. Because what? Because your friends were more important? Because husbands come and go? Her cheeks flushed. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it then? She stared into her coffee cup. I don't know. I was just frustrated. Well, I'm not frustrated anymore. I learned from the best. By week 9, the dynamic had completely flipped. She was the one sitting home on Friday nights while I was out building relationships. She was the one waiting to see if I'd be available for weekend plans. She was the one getting brief, polite responses about my activities. Her book club friends seemed to be getting busier with their own lives. Her college girlfriends weren't organizing as many wine tours. Her coworkers had their own weekend plans. Suddenly, the social butterfly who always had somewhere to be was finding herself with empty evenings. One Wednesday, I came home from cooking class to find her watching Netflix alone on the couch. How was class? She asked, pausing her show. Really good. We made this amazing seafood risotto. Everyone loved it. That sounds nice. Yeah, we're planning a progressive dinner party next month. Each person hosts a different course at their house. Oh, she muted the TV completely. That sounds like fun. Should be. What are you watching? Just some romantic comedy. Nothing special. I could see the loneliness in her eyes, but I wasn't going to be her backup entertainment anymore. Well, I'm pretty beat. Think I'll head to bed. Okay, good night. As I headed upstairs, I heard her unmute the TV, but somehow it seemed louder than before, like she was trying to fill the silence. Thursday after volleyball, she was waiting up for me with a glass of wine and that smile she used to use when she wanted something. Hey there, athlete. How was the game? We won. 3-1. That's great. Her enthusiasm seemed forced. Want to share a bottle of wine? We could talk. I was sweaty and tired. Thanks, but I need to shower and get to bed. Early morning tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Work, then happy hour with the guys to celebrate Johnson's promotion. Oh, the smile faded. Another late night then. Probably. You know how it is. Actually, she didn't know how it was. She'd been living this exact lifestyle for years. The weekend brought the most interesting development yet. Saturday morning, as I was getting ready for my hike, she was still in bed scrolling through her phone. No yoga today? I asked. Cancelled. Teacher is sick. What about brunch with the girls? They're all busy with family stuff. So you have the whole day free? Looks like it. She gave me a hopeful look. Maybe you could skip hiking today. I finished tying my boots. Can't do it. The group is depending on me to navigate the new trail. Just this once. These guys have become real friends. I'm not going to let them down. She pulled the covers up to her chin. Fine. Go have fun. I will. Friends are forever, right? When I returned from hiking around 3 that afternoon, energized and happy from a great day outdoors, I found her in the exact same spot on the couch where I'd left her that morning. Still in pajamas, still scrolling through her phone. Good hike, she asked without looking up. Amazing. We saw a family of deer, and the view from the summit was incredible. Then we grabbed lunch at this little place by the lake. Sounds nice. What did you do today? Nothing much. Just relaxed. But it wasn't relaxation I was seeing. It was boredom, maybe even loneliness. That evening, she made dinner for both of us, which was unusual. Normally we just grabbed whatever was convenient. She'd set the table with actual plates instead of eating on the couch. This is nice, I said, genuinely appreciating the effort. I thought it would be good for us to eat together, like a real couple. When was the last time we did this? She thought about it. I can't remember. We ate in relative silence, but I could feel her watching me, like she was trying to figure out what had changed. After dinner, she suggested we watch a movie together. Sorry, but I promised the guys I'd meet them at the sports bar. Big playoff game tonight. Right? Of course. As I grabbed my keys, she called out from the kitchen. Will you be home late? Probably. You know how these things go. And she did know. Because for 8 years, I'd been the one asking that question, and she'd been the one giving that exact same answer. The irony was perfect, but I could see she was finally starting to understand what I'd been experiencing all this time. Friends might be forever, but marriage required showing up. And I've been showing up for everyone except her. Week 10 is when she started getting creative with her attempts to reclaim my attention. It began innocently enough. Tuesday morning, as I was getting ready for work, she announced she wasn't feeling well. I think I might be coming down with something. Headache, nausea, the works. That's rough. You should rest today. Maybe you could skip volleyball tonight, just in case I need anything. I paused while knotting my tie. Do you need me to pick up medicine on my way home from work? Well, no, but then you should be fine. Take some ibuprofen and drink plenty of water. I'll be back around 9. Her mysterious illness disappeared by the time I returned from volleyball. Thursday brought a new emergency. I was about to leave for my second volleyball game of the week when her car suddenly wouldn't start. The engine just makes this weird clicking noise. I think I need a jump start. Did you call roadside assistance? I thought maybe you could help me. I'm not really a car guy. AAA will get you sorted out faster than I could. But you're supposed to leave for volleyball right now. Yeah, that's why calling the professionals makes more sense. She stared at me like I'd suggested she walk to Mars. You're really not going to help me? I'm helping you by suggesting the most efficient solution. AAA will be here in 30 minutes. I kissed her forehead. Have a good evening. See you when I get back. Saturday morning brought the most elaborate attempt yet. I was loading my hiking gear when she emerged from the bathroom looking genuinely distressed. The toilet is overflowing upstairs. Water is getting everywhere. I dropped my backpack and followed her upstairs. Sure enough, there was water on the bathroom floor. But when I looked at the toilet, it was functioning perfectly fine. Weird. Seems to be working now. But there was so much water. What if it happens again? If it happens again, we'll call a plumber. But right now it's fine. Maybe you should stay home today, just in case. I looked at her directly. Did you overflow this toilet on purpose? Her face went red. Of course not. Why would you think that? Because in 10 weeks of mysterious car troubles, sudden illnesses, and household emergencies, they all seem to happen right when I'm about to leave for plans with friends. That's ridiculous. Is it? Because for 8 years, you never once had an emergency that prevented you from going out with your friends. She crossed her arms defensively. This is different. How is it different? Because we're married. Spouses are supposed to support each other. The audacity was breathtaking. Spouses are supposed to support each other? Where was that philosophy when I asked you to skip book club for our anniversary dinner last year? That was one time. It was 12 times. I counted. I picked up my backpack. The toilet is fine. If it overflows again, call a plumber. I can't believe you're choosing your hiking buddies over your wife. I stopped at the bedroom door. I'm not choosing anyone over anyone. I'm keeping commitments I made to people who matter to me. You know, like you taught me to do. Stop throwing my words back at me. Why? Are you starting to see how they sound? She followed me downstairs, her voice getting louder. This is not the same thing. You're right. It's not the same thing. When you chose your friends over me, I accepted it quietly. I didn't create fake emergencies or guilt trips. Those weren't fake. I turned to face her. The toilet was bone dry when I got up there, but somehow there was water all over the floor. Either we have the world's strangest plumbing problem, or you spilled water on the floor yourself. Her silence told me everything I needed to know. I'll be back this afternoon. Try not to have any more emergencies while I'm gone. That evening, she was waiting for me when I got home from hiking. She'd obviously been thinking about our conversation all day. We need to talk. Okay. She sat down across from me at the kitchen table. I don't like what's happening to us. What's happening to us? You're never here anymore. You don't seem to care about spending time with me. It's like you've become a completely different person. I leaned back in my chair. I'm the exact same person I've always been. The only difference is that now I have friends and social commitments. But what about us? What about our marriage? What about it? Don't you want to spend time with your wife? Do you want to spend time with your husband? Of course I do. Since when? That stopped her short. What do you mean? I mean, when was the last time you chose to spend time with me over your friends? When was the last time you turned down a social invitation to have a quiet evening at home with me? She opened her mouth, then closed it again. I'll wait while you think about it. After a long pause, she said, That's not fair. I've always included you in things. No, you've always informed me of things. There's a difference. I invited you to book club, once, 8 months ago, to a discussion about romance novels. When I said it wasn't really my thing, you never asked again. Well, what about girls' nights? I could have included you in those. I actually laughed. Girls' nights? Really? That's your example of inclusion. Her frustration was building. Fine, maybe I wasn't perfect, but at least I was here. At least I came home to you every night. You came home to the house every night. There's a difference between being physically present and actually being present. That's not true. How many times did you come home from your social events and immediately go to bed without talking to me? I was tired. How many times did you spend the entire evening on your phone texting your friends while we were supposed to be having dinner together? That's just staying in touch. How many times did you cancel plans with me because something more interesting came up with your friends? She was getting defensive now. I never canceled plans. Last Valentine's Day, you canceled our dinner reservation because your college roommate was in town unexpectedly. That was a special circumstance. My birthday last year. You left my birthday dinner early because your book club friend was having a crisis. She was going through a divorce. Our anniversary 2 years ago. You skipped our weekend getaway because your coworkers planned a last-minute trip to Vegas. Each example hit her like a physical blow. I could see the recognition dawning in her eyes. Those were all important situations. And my hiking group, my volleyball team, my cooking class, my poker nights, those aren't important. That's different. How? How is it different when you do it versus when I do it? She sat there for a long moment, and I could see her struggling to find an answer that would make sense. Finally, she said, Because you're my husband. Husbands are supposed to be there for their wives. And wives are supposed to be there for their husbands. I am there for you. When? When are you there for me? Another long silence. You taught me something important, I continued. You taught me that friends are forever, but husbands come and go. You taught me that marriage isn't a priority. It's just a backup plan for when your real friends aren't available. You taught me that a spouse's job is to wait patiently at home while you live your actual life with other people. I never said that. You didn't have to say it. You lived it. Every single day for 8 years. She was crying now, but I wasn't done. The only difference is, I learned your lessons a little too well. Week 11 brought an unexpected revelation. My wife's social circle was starting to notice her increasing availability, and apparently, it wasn't as welcome as she'd expected. I discovered this Wednesday evening when I came home from cooking class to find her on the couch, looking defeated. How was your day? I asked, grabbing a bottle of water from the fridge. Fine, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. Book club tonight. Cancelled. Again. That's the 3rd week in a row. I know. Something in her tone made me pause. Everything okay? She shrugged. The girls said they needed a break from meeting so frequently. Apparently, some of them think we've been getting together too much. The irony was rich. For years, she'd been the one pushing for more frequent gatherings, more social events, more girl time. Now that she actually needed those connections, they were pulling back. Thursday brought more evidence of her social circle shrinking. I was getting ready for volleyball when she mentioned her lunch plans had fallen through. What happened? Nothing really. Just some scheduling conflicts. But I could see there was more to it. Over the next few days, I pieced together what was happening. Her friends had gotten used to her always being busy, always having something going on. They'd adapted by making their own plans without checking with her first. Now that she was suddenly available all the time, it felt desperate to them. Saturday morning, while I was preparing for my hike, she got a phone call that I couldn't help but overhear. "Hey, what are you guys up to today?" Pause. "Oh, you're going shopping? Can I come?" Another pause, longer this time. "Okay, no problem. Maybe next time." When she hung up, she saw me watching. "They already have a car full," she explained quickly. "Right. But we both knew that in the past, they would have found room or taken two cars. The dynamic had shifted, and she was no longer the priority she'd once been in her own friend groups. That afternoon, when I returned from hiking, I found her cleaning the house with an intensity that suggested she was working through some emotions. "Productive day?" I asked. "I guess. Got a lot done around here. Any other plans tonight?" "No. You. Poker night at my buddy's place." She nodded, but I could see the disappointment. For the first time in our marriage, she was the one with an empty Saturday night. Sunday brought a conversation that had been building for weeks. She was sitting at the kitchen table with her coffee when I came downstairs, and I could tell she'd been waiting for me. "I've been thinking about what you said the other day." "Which part?" "All of it. About how I've treated our marriage. About my priorities." I poured myself coffee and sat down across from her. "Okay, I think you might be right. About some things. Some things. Maybe I did take you for granted." It was the first real admission she'd made, and I could see how hard it was for her to say. "Maybe." She looked down at her coffee cup. "Okay, I did take you for granted. I thought you'd always be here, always be available when I needed you. And now I know what it feels like to be the one waiting around for someone else to have time for you." We sat in silence for a moment. Then she continued, "My friends don't really need me the way I thought they did. When I was always busy, always unavailable, I was more interesting to them. Now that I'm always free, they seem less excited to include me." That's an interesting observation. I used to think that made me popular. Always having somewhere to go, always being invited to things. But maybe it just made me seem like I had better options than them. And now they think I don't have better options. So hanging out with me isn't as appealing. She was starting to understand something fundamental about social dynamics that she'd never really considered before. "I never thought about it from your perspective," she admitted. "How it must have felt to always be my second choice. Or third choice. Or fourth choice." She winced. "I deserve that. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm just being honest. I know, and I'm starting to see how selfish I've been." That evening, she made another attempt to spend time together. "I know you probably have plans, but I was thinking maybe we could order pizza and watch a movie, like we used to do when we were dating." I considered it. This was the first time in months that she'd suggested a genuine activity together, without any ulterior motive or manufactured emergency. "I do have plans. Sunday football at my buddy's place." Her face fell. "But," I continued, "maybe you'd like to come with me? Meet some of my friends." She looked surprised. "Really? Sure. They're good people. A few of them bring their wives or girlfriends. I'd like that." It was a small step, but it felt significant. For the first time in our marriage, she was willing to enter my social circle instead of expecting me to fit into hers. That Sunday, watching her interact with my friends, I saw a different side of her. She was nervous at first, which was unusual for someone who considered herself socially confident. But gradually, she relaxed and actually seemed to enjoy herself. On the drive home, she was quiet for a while before speaking. "Your friends really like you." "Yeah, they're great guys. I mean, they really respect you. The way they talk to you, include you in conversations, ask your opinion on things. That's what good friends do." I never noticed that before. In my friend groups, there's always this undercurrent of competition. Who has the most interesting life? Who's doing the most exciting things? But with your friends, it's different. How so? They just seem to genuinely enjoy each other's company, without all the drama and social positioning. It was an insightful observation, and it told me she was starting to see the difference between superficial social connections and real friendships. "Maybe that's because none of us are trying to prove anything," I said. "We just like hanging out together." I think I've been trying to prove something for a long time. What were you trying to prove? That I was interesting, that I had options, that my life was full and exciting. And now I'm realizing that having a full calendar doesn't necessarily mean having a full life. We pulled into our driveway, but neither of us moved to get out of the car. I miss us, she said quietly. What do you miss about us? I miss feeling like we were a team, like we were building something together instead of just living parallel lives in the same house. It was the most honest thing she'd said in years. We can't go back to the way things were, I said. I know. I'm not going to give up my friends or my activities to sit around waiting for you to remember I exist. I don't want you to. But if you want to rebuild what we have, it's going to require both of us making each other a priority. I understand. Do you? Because for 8 years, you've had a husband who made you his priority while you made him an afterthought. That dynamic can't continue. She nodded, and I could see she was finally grasping the full scope of what needed to change. I want to try, she said, to do better, to be better. Then we'll try together. It wasn't a guarantee of success, but it was the first real conversation we'd had about our marriage in years. 3 months later, our marriage looked completely different, and for the first time in years, it actually felt like a partnership. The change didn't happen overnight. It started with small gestures. She began asking about my activities not to guilt me out of them, but because she was genuinely interested. When I told her about our hiking adventures or volleyball victories, she listened with real attention instead of scrolling through her phone. More importantly, she started making different choices. When her book club friends invited her to a weekend wine tour that conflicted with a date night we planned, she chose our date night. When her college roommate wanted to do a last-minute girls' trip, she politely declined because we had tickets to a concert. Friends are important, she told me one evening, but you're my partner. That has to mean something. The real breakthrough came when she suggested we find activities we could enjoy together, not replacing our individual friendships, but adding shared experiences to our lives. We joined a couples hiking group that met twice a month. We started taking dance lessons on Thursday nights. We even found a trivia night at a restaurant halfway between our usual spots, where both our friend groups could merge occasionally. She also made an effort with my existing friends. Instead of seeing them as competition for my time, she got to know them as individuals. She started joining our Sunday football gatherings regularly, and even suggested hosting poker night at our house once a month. I was so focused on proving I didn't need you that I forgot why I chose you in the first place, she said one Saturday morning as we got ready for a couple's hike. What made you remember? Watching you with your friends, seeing how they respect you, how happy you are when you're doing things you actually enjoy. I realized I wanted to be part of that happiness, not just someone you came home to afterward. The biggest change was in how we communicated about our schedules. Instead of informing each other of our plans, we started discussing them. We each maintained our individual friendships and activities, but we also blocked out time specifically for us. Friday nights became our night. No matter what invitations came up, that time was sacred. We'd cook dinner together, watch movies, or just talk about our week. Simple stuff, but it rebuilt the foundation we'd let crumble. I used to think that needing my husband meant I was weak, she admitted during one of these Friday conversations. Like successful women should be completely independent. And now I think choosing your husband means you're smart. Why wouldn't I want to prioritize the person I actually married? 6 months after my social transformation began, we were both different people. I'd learned to value myself enough to maintain friendships and interests outside our marriage. She'd learned that being married meant making her spouse a priority, not an afterthought. The old dynamic where she had all the social power was gone. Instead, we were both interesting people with full lives who chose to share those lives with each other. You know what's funny? She said one evening as we prepared dinner together before heading to dance class. What? My friends used to make jokes about how you were always available, always waiting around for me. They thought it was kind of pathetic. And now they're jealous. They see how we actually enjoy each other's company, how we make plans together, how we're both happy. Half of them are in marriages where they avoid their husbands. That's sad. It is. But it makes me appreciate what we have now. That night, as we danced together in class, I realized we'd both learned the most important lesson about marriage. Forever doesn't mean taking someone for granted. Forever means choosing them every day, making them a priority, and building a life together instead of just living parallel lives in the same house. My wife had been right about one thing. friends are forever. But what she'd learned, and what I'd helped her understand, was that forever includes your life partner. Actually, it starts with them. We never did get back to the way things were. We got to something much better. A marriage where both people mattered, where both people were prioritized, and where friendship and partnership weren't competing forces but complementary ones. Friends are forever, but marriage is supposed to be forever too. And now, finally, we were both committed to making that promise real.